Welcome. In this video, I speak with Mark Wigglesworth about Section 8 of Mission Action Planning. That's welcome and belonging. So Mark, can you tell me why welcome and belonging is so important?
It's the nature of church, what church is. We're trying to create a place where people are part of that church family. But research shows us that 10% of people who try a church out with the hope of joining it, only 10% stay. Mm-hmm. So that's a real disappointment, isn't it? In one parish, 15% of the whole population said they'd tried a church with the intention of becoming a part of it, but again, only 10% stayed. And yet in another church where they really put some work into thinking about their welcome and belonging, it grew to 66%
Wow.
of those who tried them who stayed. So let's just get it right.
Very important. So if a church has identified that they're at stage 1 in this section, how do they start to move to stage 2?
Well, I think the most important thing is to be intentional about what you're trying to do. Be ready. Think about the welcoming team. Who have you got on it? I wouldn't be a good welcomer because I'm not naturally outgoing. But somebody who smiles like you do and who has that open personality really helps. There was one occasion when I smiled at somebody who was walking up the church path, and that smile made all the difference. She'd come 5 times and parked in her car with the intention of coming and gone back home. But she saw my smile, and that was enough to help her through the door, and she became a key member of the church. So be intentional. Think about what you're doing. Imagine what it's like to come into the church for the first time. Again, research tells us that people visiting shops and places like that make first impressions in the first 30 seconds to a minute. So what do people see? Try coming to church with the eyes of a visitor or a child.
So Mark, how about going from stage 2 to stage 3? What do churches need to think about?
Churches that have got to stage 2 have got people who have begun to worship with them. So now it's about building relationships, integrating them into the life of the church. And that involves getting to know them, finding out their contact details, perhaps somebody doing a home visit, because then they're on their own territory and it helps you to build that relationship. But it's also helping them to get to know us. So having key information available, helping to discover who people are, integrating them into a home group. Perhaps organising special socials to welcome new people, and also thinking about how to get them into a home group, or what about a WhatsApp? Have you got a communication? Are you going to include them in that so they begin to feel part of the family, they know what's going on, they feel valued? And then once you've got contact details, another key thing is noticing if they're not there. So having a list of people in your church, your worshipping community, and just checking it every now and then saying, oh, we haven't seen them for a little while, let's give them a ring. See how they're getting on. So build those relationships, help them feel valued.
Great ideas, thank you. Okay, now let's think about moving from stage 3 to stage 4.
Okay, so in stage 3, we've got people who are beginning to belong to the life of the church. They feel welcome. Now we want to integrate them into the life of the church so they really become rooted, feel it's their church, they're at home. So what can we do? Well, the first thing is to involve them in things, start to ask people, would they like to be a part of this? Perhaps they want to help somebody, and allowing people to do that. Too many churches put barriers up and say, oh, they can't do that because it's my job. But how about inviting them to help? But in many places, we find that new people are those who are keenest to actually do something so that they're playing a part, so they feel that they can help. So think about those opportunities. Think about your pastoral care. Who's going to look after them? Are they part of a home group yet? Even if they're not, can they be linked to a home group so that that home group is praying for them, just watching out for them, making sure they're there? A key part of welcome and belonging is looking at the back door of the church. Quite often people, if they start to feel disaffected, if they don't feel that they belong, then they'll start to slip away. Maybe they don't come as often, or maybe they disappear. But if we notice that and say, how are you? What's happening? Then very often they will come back. So let's watch the back door. Let's keep in touch with them. Let's ask them how they feel the life of the church is and listen to them. Let's make them feel valued. So we want to help them to be rooted, to feel at home. This is their church, they're a part of it.
Thank you, Mark, that's been really helpful. It sounds like the first thing that churches need to do is be ready. They need to be intentional about the way that they're welcoming people. And then they need to really build those relationships so that people can become integrated into the church. And then people really need to become rooted to feel at home in the church. So that's when the church really needs to involve them in the ways they can serve and in decision making. Any final thoughts?
There are lots of resources that can help. There's a course called Everybody Welcome, which has had a significant difference for lots of people. There's one that we've created as a diocese, a resource called Street to Seat, that takes you through a lot of these things that we've talked about. One thing that Everybody Welcome talks about is inviting a secret worshipper, somebody who's not been to the church before and isn't known, just to come along and reflect on their experience. And then the last thing just to add is, in all of this, we need to be just mindful of safeguarding so that people feel safe, so that they're kept safe, and as a church, we continue to be safe.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.